Hey there everybody, it's me, Jenny, Vintage Soul Crafter. I needed to pop in and share and correct 3 things that I talk about in this video on gnome life, because far be it from me to mislead you when it comes to something as important as gnome culture. First and foremost, Will Hume did do the text and the research on gnomes in this book that I'm using, but he did not do the illustrations. I believe it was a Dutch illustrator, and I can't pronounce the name, so I'm not even going to try. But you can check out the book, and I'll post a picture of it as well. The other little thing I needed to correct is I accidentally grabbed the wrong page that goes in the Garden Life gnome book. The German page that's from my German childhood book is this page right here. I share a bunny rabbit one in this one, and that obviously is a woodland gnome culture life type of picture. And finally, really important, gnomes don't live to be 95 million years old. Not that we know of anyway. It's possible. But actually, in prime of their life, a gnome is right around the age of 275 years. So you can do the math and figure out what the average lifespan is of a gnome. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure you knew these facts and you had them all straight before we went any further. Thanks, and I'll talk with you soon. Hello one and all, this is Jenny, Vintage Soul Crafter. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I have been working on something very special to me, and that is a couple of junk journal kits that are about gnome life. So when I was a little girl, we lived in Germany, and they used to have on German television these little, not really commercials, but they were kind of like gnomes. They were these little elves, and they had these little white caps on, kind of like a monk's cap, and they were just adorable. They also had Smurfs, but we called them Jumpities. And so I fell in love with those little creatures, those little elf-like gnomes, I will call them, because that's what they became to me, were gnomes. And when we moved back to the States, I was not even 4 when we moved to Germany. And when we moved back to the States, 4.5, nearly 5 years later, I was just so homesick for what had been the home that I knew, and that was Germany. And at one point when gnomes became very popular in the States, I just felt so nostalgic. As you can tell, I tend to be nostalgic anyway, but I loved them. And so Will Hume came out with this book all about gnomes and the illustrations, and did all of the research on gnomes. And I found some of his books in Goodwill, and I wanted to create a couple of kits. And there are a variety, in case you didn't know, there are a variety of gnomes. 2 of them are garden gnomes and woodland gnomes. So what I have done here is created a garden gnome, which is the first one I will show you, and a woodland gnome journal kit. I can create others, but I think these 2 will be the most popular. I think they are the most common type of gnome that we know of. And so I want to begin with sharing with you the little bit of the story of the gnomes that I know beyond my own story of falling in love with them when I was a little girl in Germany. So gnomes are not like humans, obviously. They're much shorter. They wear pointy little hats, kind of like the cone heads in Saturday Night Live, only way more adorable than cone heads. And they live very, very long. As I cover some of this, I will share with you if I happen to see it, but I did see in Will Hume, the author and illustrator's research, that they live to be about 95 million years old. So gnomes have some similarities to us, but they also have some differences. And each of these kits has a little bit of a, besides the gnomes and the garden or the woodland theme, they have a little bit of a theme. As I was gathering things together, and I really had to stop myself, they have some things that tell the stories that are within these pages that I have collected. And I'd like to do more, and I am planning on listing these in my Etsy store as soon as I get all of the photos taken, and I want to begin to do custom journaling kits, and I'm going to offer those as well, and that's what I'm working on, putting together what I can offer. So without further ado, this kit, this garden kit, will come with 6 pages out of the Gnomes book by Will Hume that I got from, the first one that I got from Goodwill. So this one is more about the daily routine, the life, the family life, and the home life of the garden gnome. So there will be 6 beautiful pages that are illustrated on both sides with Mama and Papa Gnome and some of the family members and various different bits of information. Here is an inside look at a gnome home within a tree. You see the branches. The illustrations in these are fantastic. They are gorgeous. They are detailed watercolor illustrations. And I don't know how many of you had a hamster. I had hamsters when I was growing up, so I love seeing the hamster in there. And then, you know, gnomes live in a symbiotic relationship with their neighbors, with the wildlife. And so you'll see more about the mole and you'll see more of the woodpecker, and you'll learn more about how gnomes and the wildlife live together in helping each other out. And there's Papa Gnome standing outside, a little portrait of his home that he has worked so hard to build for his family. This is a gnome coloring book, and so you can have fun with this. The kids can have fun with this, coloring it and enjoying it. It's the full spread. There's Mama Gnome and a little critter, maybe a hamster, maybe a mouse, has her slipper. So, and then it also discusses, which is you're gonna see in a moment, the other running theme, which is remedies, plant remedies, and so forth, and how gnomes, of course, because they don't have health care, they don't have hospitals like we do. Gnomes rely on, again, nature and wildlife to help them, for their cures and their medicines, their remedies, for their cooking, for every part of their aspect of their lives. Now, this came about, you know, kind of like these do. They seem to just come together in a sort of happy accident. This is a page from the book, and what I've done here, it's on illness and remedies. On either side of it, you'll see the various different plants that they use. I know this video is going to be long, and I probably won't edit it, so I may do it in 2 parts. Maybe I'll do this part with the gardening home life of gnomes, and the other part with the woodland gnomes. So this particular page has information on the inside about the intimate activities of gnomes. They believe in marriage, and they believe in monogamy. And but I wasn't sure that needed to be included, and so what I did was I created what you can use as a center signature envelope. I've gone ahead and sewn it up the sides, put a little notch in the top, as you can see there, and then once you have your signature secured, this is up to you. You don't have to do this. You can repurpose it and reuse it for another thing that you want in your book. But you would just sew this into your signature as the center, and then you glue up either side. So that is also included, illnesses and remedies. And we'll come back to that theme as well. Then the other book that I got as part of my Goodwill hunting haul, that particular one of the times, was a pop-up book. It was falling apart. Somebody had loved it really well. The kids had pulled on, opened, you know, peeked underneath, you know, the way we do with pop-up books. So but it was too cute and adorable, and I knew it would come in useful in creating these journals. So I went ahead and got it. And what I've done is I have cut out, sort of as die cuts, for this, various different, some of them are a little bit, you know, this gnome's little hat probably got caught on a tree or something, or a shrub. And there's Papa Gnome smoking his little, I don't know what that is. It's like it's a what do you call those? You know, those popular pipes right now that people smoke with the aromatics in them, and And there's the gnome family, Mama and Papa with their twins. Gnomes have twins, and so this is a boy and a girl twin that they have. And then this is just a little bit about their home life and what Mama and Papa do every evening. And then this is a special little piece of part of the personal habits. And so I left this intact so that you can open and close it and include it somewhere in your journal. Then along with all of these special gnome pages, as I said, you saw a little bit about Mr. Mole. Well, in my vintage book pages that I am including with this, I have of course included garden critters and animals, and there is Mr. Mole. And so you can read and enjoy the pictures of Mr. Mole. Since this is part of the title page, I went ahead and included another full spread with the flying squirrels and gophers and, beavers. Beavers are more of a woodland critter, but it doesn't matter. Chipmunks, which of course are adorable, and you might find them in your garden as well. They're adorable, but I know they can cause some damage. Here are some beautiful wildflower pages, Wildflowers of North America pages that will be included, as well as these lovely, luscious, muted bird. This is out of a book of knowledge, I think, for children. Not really sure if that's the exact title, but these are just stunning. And there you have the woodpecker once again, because he has a vital role, he or she, in the gnome's life. And then a garden book is not complete without some Edith Holden pages in it as well. So there are both text pages, and this one is Fair Maids of February. That seemed appropriate to include. Text pages, and again, this is what Edith Holden calls a shrew, but it's very similar to a mole. And so those will also be included, 3 of those. And then because this is connected to my childhood in Germany, I went ahead and pulled out 2 books that my mom just recently returned to me that were from my childhood. One of them is a music book because gnomes do love music, and because to me, gnomes originated and then immigrated and spread out throughout the world. And this is what I believe in Germany, in Europe. So I went ahead and sacrificed a couple of pages out of 2 of my little German books from when I was a little girl, because I think it's worth it, and I know you all will enjoy it. So there's a couple of German music, sheet music, a full spread of that, as well as these adorable pages they kind of remind me of little people, little gnome type people, and the ones that I used to see on TV. So you get 1 each of those. And then this is a page that was in one of my books as well, and it's all about plants that can harm as well as heal. So as I said, gnomes, use plants for medicinal purposes, but they also have to know plants that can hurt them and hurt their children. So I thought that that would be a nice inclusion, and you could also make that into an envelope to go with the other envelope for the center signature if you wanted to use that. And if you want me to sew it up for you, I can do that as well. Just let me know. Of course, no gnome type garden, woodland, whether it's one or the other, and I have, and I don't live in the forest or the woodlands at all, but I have mushrooms growing in my yard here and there, and they're just so charming, and they can be delicious or they can be deadly as well. I can just kind of envision one of these little gnomes perhaps in the die cuts that I am sharing with you, sitting here, you know what I'm saying, like here's Papa Gnome sitting here playing his music underneath the mushroom there, underneath the toadstool. So this is a beautiful full sheet of toadstools, mushrooms. I'm not sure what the difference is exactly. I know there is a difference though. And so those will also be in there. And then I found this lovely book that has Canadian wildflowers in it. And I know that Tanta gnomes are very popular and quite prolific in Canada as well. So these are a couple of pages of wildflowers of Canada, and they have a really nice thick texture and kind of that dimpled sort of bond paper, but thicker than bond paper texture. And then in addition to all of those pages, you will also get some 8.5 by 11 cut down, and then some little bits of paper that's made out of recycled wood pulp and so forth. And this one has ferns, so of course that's appropriate. And then this one is birch bark. I'm almost out of this, and they don't make it anymore. And you will also get cardstock that goes very nicely with the various different colors. We're using subdued colors, so once again, the cardstock, when it's colorful, kind of really brightens up some of those other subdued pages of the vintage books and so on. I love, love, love one side of this. I'm not crazy about the other side, but it's the other side. And so I don't know how you feel about stripes, but I think and this is forever young, so that's totally appropriate when it comes to gnomes, and they live, to be 95 million years according to the research. And of course, they have a lot of love and hearts, and it's red, and the gnomes' hats are red, and then I thought the ruler was good because, they tend to be a little shorter than people, and then of course there's the bark looking wood on the other side. And so overall, these, when they're together, if I look at stripes by myself personally, or the hearts, it's a little crazy for my eyeballs. But I think when you have them all together and they're in a book and you have them with these more subdued kind of pages, it all works together really well. So that is another part of what you'll get. And then there's some of this lovely tissue paper that I'm also including, and it has birds and birds' nests and bird houses in it, and who doesn't love tissue paper? It's good for so many uses and crinkly and pretty. And this is some lovely stationery that I got on one of my hauls, and it's just sweet and cute and charming, and it has flowers and this adorable little bluebirds and a little ladybird up at the top there. So you will also get those. Oh, another vintage group of pages that I almost forgot. And these also go very nicely, as you can see, with the cardstock that I included. So they all work together. And these are out of some vintage children's books on various different types of insects. So you got some bright, vivid colors going on the outside, and then the more subdued on the inside. And there's a moth and a praying mantis and fireflies and so forth. And then some lovely, again, the ladybird, which is what made me remember that I had included this as well. Ants, which you always find in the garden and pretty much everywhere in the world. And honeybees, which are essential, of course. Then you will also get some lovely vintage butterfly wrapping paper that I love. A beautiful sheet of that, and a beautiful sheet of this wrapping paper that's kind of thick. It's a little bit crinkled and bent, but it's still pretty and still very useful for whatever you want to use it for in your book. I think that was on something my friend Bonnie gave me, so kind of special. And then another piece of wrapping paper that has birds and fruits and brings out some of that nice green tone from the various different colors in here. Of course, you'll get your little snippets from my cutting. And in addition, there are some book, binder, not even binder, well, I guess binder, But these are 2-hole. These are nice older stock lined paper and 2-hole only. They have a beautiful yellowing that's started naturally, oxidation on them. And then some really nice feeling typewriter paper for more of that crinkle, of course. And it's also got a nice little aging color happening on it. You will get 3 very pretty bags, white bags. And then you will get, that go with that pretty stationery, this lovely blue lined little envelopes that you can do whatever your heart desires with and tuck in. And then inside of the envelope, you will find 3 tags that have butterflies cut out of them, and then I stamped them as well. And they have a little bit of twine, and they're blank on the backside. And 3 playing cards that are floral. This one you can't really see the floral because on top of it I have included a bunch of different washi tapes that are garden themed and have a little bit of butterfly, a little bit of Tim Holtz. This is a Cavallini, and then various other types of Japanese washi tapes that I have included. And then when you take the washi tape off, you'll have this nice playing card, and it's floral. And on the back side of this playing card is a little sticky notepad with some birds. It's a really pretty, you know, sticky notepad for you. So those are hidden and tucked away into one of the envelopes. And last but not least, well, not quite last, you'll also get, of course, paper clips that hold everything together. And then you will get this pretty little bag of buttons. It's got some fun buttons in there because, you know, gnomes being smaller than people and dwelling in gardens and the woods and the like, they find lots of buttons. You know, all those buttons that we can never find. The gnomes find them and they collect them. So you would be, you know, amiss if you didn't include buttons in a gnome journal. And so it also has some ribbon in there with moths and butterflies and dragonflies, as well as some snippets of lace and all of the little buttons, and then one of those little clips holding it all together. So I think that's it for the Garden Gnome Variety Journal Kit. Like I said, I'm going to get the pictures taken and then I'm going to load it up onto my Etsy store. And if you love it, like it, then go to the Etsy store and buy it. And if you miss out on it, I will be making more, and I can also custom create journal kits for you. So thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you soon with the Woodland Gnome Kit. Bye-bye.